Okay, here's problem number 17 from section 7.1. The introducer plans to examine an SRS of individual federal tax returns from each state. One variable of interest is the proportion of returns claiming itemized deductions. Total number of tax returns from each state varies from over 15 million in California to about 240,000 in Wyoming. The sampling variability of the sample proportion will change from state to state if an SRS of 2,000 returns are selected from each state. Oh, will the sampling variability change? Explain your answer. Will the sampling variability change from state to state? Will the sampling variability of the sample proportion change if you're using 2,000 tax returns from each state? Okay. Yesterday we talked about this myth, and this is the question that goes to that point one more time. Does it matter that there's 15 million in California but only 240,000 in Wyoming? Does that difference matter? Does the population size matter in terms of sampling variability? Answer, no, it doesn't. The only thing that matters in terms of population size is if the population is at least 10 times the sample, because that gives us something close enough to independence. So, regardless of whether we're talking about a small population state like Wyoming or a big population state like California, the 2,000 sample size will have the same variability. Now, what about problem B? What if we did an SRS of 1% of the population? So in Wyoming, 1% of Wyoming is 24,000? No, 2,400. But 1% of the California is going to be 150,000. Did I have that right? Did I move the decimal place enough times? Well, it's 15 million. When you move the decimal place twice, and you get 150,000. Will the sample variability matter in that case? And the answer is yes, it will. There's a substantial number more in the California sample. The California sample then is going to have much less variability because the sample size is larger. We measure sample size not as a percentage of the population, but rather as what's the number? How big is that sample in just raw count? So A will have the same variability. B there will be much less variability in the large states because the sample sizes will be much, much larger. All right? So I didn't write anything down, but is that an explanation that is okay for you? Again, they're trying to make sure that you tackle the myths. And the myth, again, is that the size of the population matters. The size of the sample matters. Just make sure that you stay below that magic mark. Population has to be at least 10 times the sample size. Any more questions about 17? Hearing none.